Tourism. Mr. Speaker, it has been brought to my attention that in order for local businesses that offer attractions and tours to travelers in the cruise industry to contract the cruise ships, it was deemed necessary by cruise liners for them to obtain global insurance coverage. These cruise ships have also mandated which insurers can be used by local businesses, all of which, of course, naturally, are outside of Barbados. This results in significant taxes being paid by businesses on remittances to these insurers. A representation has been made by the sector to the ministry for a reduction or elimination of these taxes, which would ultimately enable the companies to offer a better product at a reduced rate. I have acceded to these requests and propose that effective income year 2012, these taxes will be removed. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, concerns have been raised over an anomaly in the treatment of the input tax paid in respect of goods purchased locally by hotels offering timeshare properties. Under the Tourism Development Act, the construction and furnishing of timeshare properties and the construction of a hotel are included under the definition of tourism projects. One of the benefits to which such approved tourism projects is entitled is the refund of customs duties paid by the holder of a permit, where the holder satisfies the controller of customs that the building materials and supplies purchased for the tourism project have been purchased in Barbados in accordance with the terms of the permit. It should be noted that the definition of custom duty under the Tourism Development Act includes import duty, environmental duty, which of course no longer exists, environmental levy, which of course no longer exists, excise tax, and VAT. Under the VAT Act, the sale of a real property or the lease of real property for a term of at least 25 years is exempt from VAT. Suppliers of exempt products or services are not entitled to claim the refunds of input VAT. Consequently, an entity which operates a timeshare property is not allowed to claim a refund of the input tax, since the timeshare activity constitutes the transfer of real property. The sale of timeshare property generates foreign exchange on which VAT is paid. Therefore, if the sale of a timeshare by an approved tourism enterprise is zero-rated, then such a classification would entitle the enterprise to recover all VAT on the inputs without reducing competitiveness of the enterprise. The Ministry of Finance will therefore take the necessary action to have the VAT Act amended accordingly so that these properties can benefit. International business. As you heard, the international business sector continues to be one of critical importance to the economic fortunes of Barbados and certainly to our recovery efforts. In order to ensure that Barbados remains relevant in this highly competitive international market, our international business policy makers and practitioners are constantly looking for ways to improve business facilitation, efficiencies, and develop new products to assist in attracting even more players to our jurisdiction. In this regard, government has agreed with the Barbados International Business Association, BIBA, that in the coming months, a laser-like focus should be placed on the following: reviewing and bringing to Parliament legislation to deal with the following, sir. 1, amendments to the Source Society with Restricted Liabilities Act to effect mergers with these entities, between these entities. 2, enactment of foundation legislation which would put Barbados on a competitive footing with Panama, Malta, and the Bahamas. 3, amendments to the Companies Act, and if necessary, the Securities Act. 4, amendments to the International Corporate and Trust Providers Companies Act, and the finalization and laying of the accompanying regulations. 5, amendment to the Companies Act to allow for the incorporation of companies with Chinese names, along with an English equivalent, in order to attract more business from Asia. 6, enhancement of the private trust company, enactment of the private trust companies legislation. In addition to these, the Ministry of Finance has invited the Attorney General's office to work alongside the International Business Unit in the Ministry of International Business to devise a multi-year licensing application to allow international business companies desirous of procuring a multi-year license in one go with an appropriate discount to do so. We hope that this will be made available from the next financial year. Finally, while Barbados will never be able to compete on a price level in the fee structure set for international business sectors around the world, as is the case in many jurisdictions, it is still necessary to ensure that we remain competitive, as is humanly possible. In this regard, government, through the appropriate agencies and in conjunction with BIBA, will review the entire rate structure in the sector with a view to looking at areas that might be in need of intervention. This will be done to ensure that Barbados as a jurisdiction remains relevant while not unduly affecting our revenue intake. Agriculture. Mr. Speaker, given the current high cost of energy, there is a need for assistance to the poultry and animal farmers in keeping their livestock housing well lit and at the appropriate temperatures. I therefore propose that with immediate effect, a rebate of up to 5,000 Barbados dollars be provided to farmers who retrofit these structures with the use of solar energy. This will result in a revenue loss to the Treasury of approximately $4.35 million to be borne over multiple years. Yes. The medium-term development strategy of Barbados, 2010-2014, recognizes that the current external environment has undoubtedly posed new challenges to an already vulnerable agricultural sector. These challenges are evident in the high import food bill, high global energy costs, rapid climate change, and decrease in agricultural exports by some major food suppliers. In 2010, prices of locally grown fruits and vegetables generally remain stable, with minor fluctuations in the cost of these commodities. With regard to food imports and foreign exchange spending, the 2010 fruit and vegetable import bill, including nuts and root crops, was $41.4 million, or 15% increase over 2009. Of this, an estimated $21.8 million can be suitably substituted. With this in mind, government has acceded to the request of the Fruit and Vegetable Growers Association for the establishment of an organic matter program. This program will see the provision of financial assistance to purchase 3 mulch composters to give fruit and vegetable farmers access to effective, cost-effective equipment to be used for the production and application of disease and weed-free organic matter. The equipment will be provided as part of the tractor cultivation scheme under the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Fisheries and Water Resources for on-lending to the farmers at a peppercorn rate, inclusive of insurance of the equipment. The estimated cost for one mulch composter is US $55,000 or Barbados $110,000, while the cost of one row mulcher or mulch spreader is $50,000 US dollars or 100,000 Barbados dollars. I therefore propose to provide the Ministry of Agriculture, Food, Fisheries and Water Resources with the financial resources to purchase the recommended 3 composters and 3 row mulchers. We will further accede to the provision of 2 transplanters and 2 mulch lifters that accompany these very critical pieces of equipment. I will equally review on a case-by-case basis applications from registered farmers for partial waivers in their own right of duties for similar equipment. The cost to government of this particular initiative will be in the region of US $215,000 or Barbados $430,000. The Agricultural Development Fund. This was established by Act of Parliament on December 12, 2011 for the 2001, for the improved development of the agriculture in the country. The financial resources of the fund were needed to finance projects and programs that are designed for the development of the sector. The sources of income of the ADF was set out in the legislation as 1, revenue from the bond rates on agricultural products, 2, income from the heavily indebted plantations by the Barbados Agricultural Credit Trust, BACT. Yes, and over the last couple of years, there has been no income contributed to the ADF from the BACT. Discussions are currently underway with the Ministry of Agriculture with a view to recapitalizing the ADF. Since October the 1st, 2005, the interest rate applications applicable to loans under the Agricultural Development Fund has been set at 6.5%. I therefore propose that once the fund has been recapitalized with resources from the BACT, interest rates will be reduced to 5% over the next 3 years. This is not expected to have a direct impact on the resources of the consolidated fund. Manufacturing. The government of Barbados is seeking to increase the use of energy sources as an alternative to fossil fuel, as we know. It is therefore imperative that incentives are given to encourage greater use of solar power, which is available abundantly given our climatic conditions. Currently, duty-free concessions are offered to hotels and the manufacturing sector for the importation of electric water heaters. I propose that effective January 1st, 2012, these concessions will be discontinued. The discontinuance should, in addition, reduce the amount of foreign exchange required by the Central Bank of Barbados to facilitate such purchases. The discontinuance of these concessions will result in small savings to the Treasury. Mr. Speaker, in recent times, this country has been producing some highly skilled persons from the Samuel Jackman Prescott Polytechnic in the area of computer system building and customization. However, the development and sustaining of a profession in this area has been difficult since the importation of computer systems in a box have been tax exempt, but the importation of the parts for assembly in Barbados have attracted import duties and VAT. This is tantamount to the exportation of jobs to countries which assemble and ship computers to Barbados. In order to correct this imbalance, effective September 1st, 2011, all parts imported into the country for the purpose of assembly of personal computers will be free of all duties and VAT. This initiative seeks to provide an opportunity for these skilled young persons to become entrepreneurs in their chosen field. Mr. Speaker, this will only have very marginal impact on the revenues of the Treasury. International securities market. Mr. Speaker, from as far back as 1991, it was envisioned that the way forward for the development of a securities market was the establishment of an international trading floor for the listing and trading of offshore products. The Board of Governors of what was at the time the Securities Exchange of Barbados amended its bylaws to establish an exempt trading floor for the trading of exempt securities. The international securities market has the potential of creating a number of benefits for this country and the international business community, further solidifying Barbados as an international business destination.